First things first, a million thanks to Maeve Kelly and all of my pals at NBC for all of the love and the care that you put into that video. That is quite remarkable. Maeve would be here, but we should extend our best wishes to her. She's home with her brand new baby, Alice. Big thanks to Ken Agard and all of the folks at the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame for making this night so special, for making all of us feel so special these last several months. And congratulations to all of the other inductees. I am so honored to be on the same roster with all of you. I have a little bit of an imposter complex, my friends know that. And for me to be able to stand up here and receive this award is truly beyond anything that I could ever imagine. You know, whenever I meet people for the first time, the first thing they say is, you know, you really are that short. And then they say, they want to know what was it like 30 years ago when there were so few women out there in sports television. Of course, Visser was out there. Leslie was, you know, creating a ruckus, trying to open up the doors and pave the way for us. But honestly, there were plenty of challenges. Did I dream of this kind of career? Absolutely not. You have to understand, when I graduated from the University of Michigan in 1976, there were very few jobs in broadcast television for women. A couple of news jobs here and there, absolutely no sports jobs. So I had 3 job offers. All of them were to do the weather. I wasn't a meteorologist, but they were paying $4 an hour, so it didn't really matter. But everybody wanted a weather girl, right? I had 2 job offers in northern Michigan, one up in the upper peninsula, and one in Colorado Springs, and that was the one that I took. And they said, just wear skirts and smile, right? So that's what I did. Little did I know when I got out to Colorado Springs, the guy who had done the weather before me was 6'5". So they had this giant map. I came up to Oklahoma. So God forbid there was any weather in the Pacific Northwest or in the Northeast, because I couldn't reach it, I couldn't report it. For all you young people out there, yes, this was before green screens. When I got my chance to transition to news in Wichita, Kansas, I actually had to hide in the ladies' room when they told the anchor man that he was going to be sharing the desk with a woman, because they were so afraid that he was going to storm out of the building and then I would have to go in and fill in for him, right? You saw the movie Anchorman? You thought it was a comedy? It was a documentary. The other guys on the set made it their mission to mess me up. I was Veronica Corningstone, to mess me up, to make me laugh. The sports guy had a taxidermy segment on Thursday nights. It's Wichita, there wasn't a lot of sports. And I remember reading voiceover copy when the Pope died, and he's pecking me on the shoulder with the bird. And everybody in the studio is in hysterics. They're all dying. You can hear people snorting with laughter. And my voice is quivering, and I'm trying to hold it together. And I think, wow, this is really it. Show's over. I get called into the news director's office. I know I'm going to hell because I've laughed about the Pope dying. But now I think for sure I'm going to lose my job as well. I get in there, and he proceeds to tell me that the switchboard has lit up. People, the viewers, were so moved that I was moved to tears reading about the Pope who had passed. You cannot make up this stuff. This is local television, right? You know, when I got to Dallas then to do sports, there was a guy who worked at the local paper who admitted to recording every single one of my broadcasts, waiting for me to make a mistake because, you know, I was a girl, right? So to me, these are funny stories, and I think that they're great for cocktail parties and stuff, but honestly, I think that we look at these things today through a completely different lens. Back then, it was much like a lot of the sports we cover: survive and move on. And really, I think that I would say honestly that all of that stuff pales in comparison to all of the people who have truly been there for me to lift me up and literally drag me places that I never thought that I would go. Neil Pilson, who is here and a fellow member of the Hall of Fame now, and Ted Shaker hired me at CBS in 1989 to work the NBA playoffs. I was pregnant with our first son, Jake, and they didn't bat an eye. That didn't matter to them at all, and my pockets are bulging with saltines, but that was fine. A few months later, I'm as big as a house. And Ted comes to me and he says, we would really love for you to do play-by-play at the US Open. And I said, I can't do that. I said, not on national TV. Isn't there someplace else I can practice this? I've never done anything like this before. And he says, no. He hands me a VHS tape. And he says, watch Pat Summerall. It's easy. Less is more. He said, all you have to do is give the score and go to commercial. 40 love, game, we'll be back after this. And then he pairs me with Mary Carrillo. So much for simple and clean. 2 words that have never been in your vocabulary. Carrillo wants to talk about Yannick Noah's legs. Meantime, my legs are shaking the entire time. The next year, Ted says that he wants me to be the first woman to co-host the college football studio show. And remember, this is Ted Shaker. He had hired Leslie Visser. He had hired the amazing Suzanne Smith. I mean, he had done a lot of really smart things. So he wants me to host this college football studio show, and I'm going to do this with Mike Francesa. We all know that Mike Francesa is a walking encyclopedia. I was borderline neurotic about my preparation. Actually, I was completely neurotic about my preparation. And we're in a meeting a couple of days before this first big game. It's a primetime Michigan-Notre Dame. And Francesa is in the meeting, and he's talking about the Notre Dame quarterback. And he keeps saying, Myra this and Myra that. And I thought, oh my God, how could this happen? I've never heard of this guy. And I finally get, it's before Google, you can't check anything. And so I finally have the nerve to ask him, Mike, what happened? I thought the Notre Dame quarterback was Rick Meyer. And he said, yeah, that's what I said, Rick Myra. If you've ever talked to Francesa, sometimes you have to interpret some of the things that he says. I had a great 10 years at CBS hosting Olympics with Jim Nance. I think I just saw him right there. We had such a blast together doing college hoops with Vern Lundquist and Bill Raftery, tennis with Summerall and Carrillo, and skating with Scott Hamilton, so many folks. And I am forever grateful to all of the cheerleaders and the friends that I had at CBS. Lance Barrow, where's your table? Where's Lance? Lance Barrow. I will never, ever forget how Lance Barrow went to bat for me when we were at CBS working a college basketball game, and you have been in my Hall of Fame, Lance, for a long, long time. When I left CBS, I was in my mid-40s, and I had 2 little kids, and I thought, maybe that's it. Maybe that's all I get. And it was pretty good. If that was the end. And there was Dick Ebersol waving me over to NBC, right? Welcomes me with his giant open arms. And again, I find myself in this incredible place, surrounded by people with so much integrity and so much passion for what they did. It was Dick, Molly Solomon, Gary Zenkel, Peter Diamond, Mark Lazarus. Thank you so much for keeping that spirit alive for all of these years. I think that so many of you have probably met Billie Jean or you have heard her speak, but if you've ever had a conversation with Billie Jean King, you know that she loves to give advice, right? So the first time I met her was 30 years ago when I was pregnant, again with my second son, Grady. And we were working Wimbledon for HBO. Thank you, Ross Greenberg. I know that you're here somewhere. And thank you to the USTA and Patty Fallick for allowing me to continue to work at the US Open every year. Billie told me that in this business, you're going to go to amazing places. You're going to experience incredible moments. But at the end of the day, it truly is all about the relationships. And as usual, she was right. You've all heard her say that, I'm sure. And I have my posses to prove it. As you saw in that video, I interviewed Tara Lipinski when she won gold in Nagano in '98, an incredible moment, a great place. I interviewed Johnny Weir when he won the Junior World Championships in Sofia, Bulgaria. I was not there when the amazing Terry Gannon won the 1983 NCAA championship at NC State, but what I do know now is how lucky every single guy on that team was to have him as a teammate. Winning a championship is one thing. Terry Gannon having your back and being your friend is something else again, truly. They are all so much more than colleagues, and Billie was right. We all go to these amazing places, but at the end of the day, these folks all become your family, and that's my figure skating family. And our lead producer, Alexa Pritting, she was an intern from Syracuse when she worked with us on figure skating in Torino in 2006. We have so proudly watched her grow up in this business. She's our lead producer on Figs now. And then just a couple of years ago, I had the honor of officiating her wedding. I mean, who gets to do that? Who gets to go to work and come back richer on so many levels? We do. In this business, that's the kind of people that we all work with. So I guess for me, this whole Hall of Fame thing is really a celebration of all of that, of all of the gifts of friendship that I feel like I've been given. And somebody told me that there would be a clock up here and that we should stick to the time, like of 6 minutes, and I'm sure that I've gone over. But, you know, when you have spent the last 30 years doing 45-second sideline reports, you got a lot to say. You've unleashed a monster. I mean, I have never gone over, right? I'm a team player. Where's Molly? Where's Rob Highland? Have I ever gone over? No, I never go over. I promise you I'm almost done, but I do have just a couple of posses here that I want to acknowledge. The table of rowdy women over here, the group that we started more than 20 years ago, Girls Night Out. We all met at CBS Sports. The amazing Suzanne Smith, our leader, Carrillo, Visser, Kat Newman, Marcy Kempner, and Terry Schindler. In between all of our get-togethers, which usually involve quite a few margaritas, there's a wildly hilarious text chain that goes on. But seriously, the bond that we all share, the sisterhood that we have, is really powerful, personally and professionally. It means the world to me. And the greatest thing about it is that the group grows every year as we welcome in the next generation so that we can kind of lift them up a little bit and help them on their way. Finally, my best posse of all my family. My siblings are all here. They came from all over the country. Although after last night, we're not sure that we're all related, but that's another story. My boys, Jake and Grady, I know that if I say something corny up here, that you will tease me mercilessly until the end of days. So I will just tell you both that I love you more than anything in the whole world. And Harry Smith, yes, that Harry Smith. None of this, you know, none of this. Not 1 minute of this career that I've had is possible without you. And we all know that in this business, that we can't do this without support at home because of all of the travel. And we all think that we have the best spouse. But how many of you can say that you went away for 3.5 weeks and you came home and your little children were using forks and knives, they were eating broccoli and practicing piano? That's Harry Smith, and he's pretty good at his other job too. When I turned 50 in Athens, they decorated the talent room in black balloons. And again, I thought that was it. Many moments when I thought I was done. I saw Dick Ebersol in the parking lot, and I'm sure that he does not remember this. And he was sitting in a lawn chair in the compound, smoking a cigar, and I brought up the black balloons and joked about what seemed to be my inevitable retirement. Women don't age in this business. It didn't seem like it, not very many. And he looked at me like I was completely crazy. And that's all you need to know about Dick Ebersol. That's all you need to know about NBC Sports, because here I am, nearly 20 years later, and I'm getting ready to cover my 17th Olympics. All I have ever wanted to do is work. People I work with have heard me say, I'll pull the cable. All I ever wanted to do was work, and I am profoundly grateful that I have had an opportunity to do that, to cross paths with so many of you, and to call you friends. And my finally, go blue.